Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. I'm out on the kayaks with my brother Alex and my buddy Josh, and we are doing some blue fishing. We came out here nice and early, and we're just going to throw topwater all morning and see what we can find. And I have to tell you, this was a really fun trip. This is one of the best of the summer so far. Lots of action, lots of topwater explosions. It was an absolute blast. So I know this is a bit of a long one, but stay tuned and I promise it'll be worth it. And I know this is a bluefish video, but here's the first fish of the day. It's not a bluefish, but it was a great way to start the morning.
Bass. Nice. Crushed the topwater.
Yeah, and that's a nice just under slot striper, and I'm going to be targeting these more closer to the fall when the water temps cool off and they start moving inshore and, right before the fall run. But this was a nice surprise. Good way to start the day. Alright, before we get into the real action, I just wanted to show you the plug that all three of us are using on this trip. It's the Yozuri 3D Inshore Top Knock pencil. We're using the 5-inch version, which weighs an ounce, and we've upgraded the hooks to VMCs and the split rings owner number 4s. And man, this is my absolute favorite topwater plug just for walking the dog, this type of fishing. The one on top is brand new. The one on bottom is the one that I used during this video, and as you can see, it got completely crushed by these bluefish. So it's a lot of fun. Really love this plug. Alright, so this is about 30 minutes after catching that striped bass. We're working a point, and at this point we had come around the other side, and we're just casting in circles. We know the bluefish are in the general area, but you really gotta key in on them to get a bite going. So we're casting around, and I was ahead of the other two of them, and right here I found the first fish, and once I did that, I called them, brought them over, and then after that it's just non-stop action.
Ah, shook off.
Yep, and isn't it typical to lose your first target species of the day, but the rest of them aren't going to be so lucky. And for those of you interested, I'm using a Shimano Stella SW4000 XGC reel, and I've got it paired up with a G Loomis IMX Pro Blue 84.3 SF, and I've got the Stella spooled with 30-pound Daiwa J-Braid Grand H-strand. Yeah, so right there, I sliced my finger on the braid pretty bad. And just a word of caution, you know, if you've got a fish and it's too green and you're trying to land it, just keep your hands away from the line and, you know, do the smart thing and use a boga grip or some pliers or whatever you got. Don't grab the line like me. And you gotta excuse this poor landing. This fish was hooked in the side, which, I mean, it happens from time to time, so it's making it challenging to land and absolutely soaking the shit out of me, so I was a little frustrated.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm getting soaked by this fish. This is so fucking annoying.
Hey, so that's the first landed bluefish of the day and also the smallest, so they are going to get bigger. Alright, so at this point I'm already hooked up, but I actually let the fish swim in the water for a minute so I could change the battery because it died and I wanted to capture it. Don't do that because if you take the pressure off the fish, you're usually going to lose it. In this case, I was lucky.
Yeah, just the way he came out of the water before you hooked him, like...
And in case you're wondering what I'm dragging around with me in the water, it's just a bunker. I was trying to do some live lining earlier in the morning, and the bluefish had no interest in it. They only wanted topwater, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway, if you were wondering what that is, that's what it is.
He's a fatty, huh?
So bluefish have a mouthful of teeth, and you gotta really be careful or else they will definitely take a chunk out of you. So I'm using these Rapala boga grips / digital scale, which I don't recommend because the scale is not very accurate. It's just what I had with me this day. But you'll see here in a second, that hook was buried a little deep, so I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna grab my pliers to get that out. But you definitely wanna be careful around their teeth.
Ugh. Oh.
Oh, you see that?
Yeah.
Swirl?
Come on. Come on.
Oh,
Come on.
there you go.
Come on. Ah! He took my everything.
Really?
He cut through my line.
See your plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're fishing for bluefish, that's just going to happen from time to time. They're going to cut you off, they're going to snap through your line, whatever. A lot of guys like to use steel leaders, which
lucky.
I don't because, I mean, you can see that in the water, and
Yeah, you cut
I
through
feel
the
like you're going
braid.
to catch less fish when you're doing that. So I use 30-pound fluorocarbon for this type of fishing, and it works well for me. This happens once in a while, but I'd rather catch more fish and lose one here and there than catch nothing trying to use this massive steel leader. Alright, so I'm all retied, and for those of you curious, I use an FG knot to attach the braid to the fluorocarbon, which in my opinion is the strongest and most reliable. If you want to learn how to tie it, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there on it. And yeah, let's get into the next fish. So if you look closely here, the way the sun hits my line in a couple of spots, you can see that it's pretty twisted. And that happens just when you're fighting any fish that's pulling lots of drag. Every time that line comes off your rotor, it's going to introduce a twist into the line, which can reduce the integrity. So to get that twist out, I will just drag the braid behind the boat with nothing on it and let it out until I'm to the point where it's not twisted anymore. And it takes a couple of minutes, and then add some pressure with your fingers, reel it back in, and you'll have a brand new untwisted line again. So here off the shores of Connecticut, you can actually keep 3 bluefish per day in any size. There's no length limit. I tend not to, just because the meat is a bit oily, but I will say if you're going to make a soup or a chowder, or you want to smoke it for a fish dip, it's excellent. It just doesn't freeze well, so if you're doing typical fried fish or fillets or anything like that, there's definitely better species you can use.
Yeah.
And you'll see that Josh hooked up right there to my left. So my next cast, I'm going to throw it right in that direction because these fish do tend to school up pretty tightly, and I'm going to hook up almost immediately.
You won't believe this.
What's that?
Well, another one. I thought. I thought I hooked you.
You thought you had 2 on there?
Yeah, well, I saw 2 of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're aggressive, man. They'll chase each other to try to, like, take the bait out of the mouth.
And you'll see me adjusting the drag there. I'm a big believer in not having your drag set at the end of the fight, just like it was at the beginning of the fight. Depending on how the fish is fighting, I will tighten it or loosen it just to try to keep a consistent tension on the fish. And it also makes fishing more fun, but I find that this way I lose less fish and I don't break anything. Okay, so here's a pretty good look at the retrieve that I'm using. It's just a standard
Oh, you're
walk the
good.
dog, and throughout each cast, I'm actually varying the speed. Sometimes the fish like it slow, sometimes they like it fast. So I'll do a really slow side-to-side wobble, and then sometimes I'll pick up the speed and almost do a retrieve like you would a pencil popper.
Oh yeah. It's the biggest one of the day.
Is it?
I think so.
So that fish wasn't quite the biggest of the day. It was just under 10 pounds, and Josh actually caught one closer to 11. It was particularly long though, but definitely not the heaviest.
He knows he's hooked now.
Once they see that boat, they kind of go nuts.
They do. Oh.
Oh, there they are.
And it's also really important to revive these fish after a fight like that. They're really tired, and you just want to get them in the water, get some water flowing through their gills, and wait for them to kick off before you let them go. Otherwise, they might not make it. So it's important to do for future fisheries and just for the overall health of the population.
Come on. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh! Dude, that was the biggest one yet.
He was?
Yeah. Fucking came off.
He was, huh?
Son of a bitch.
I mean, it definitely felt like the biggest one I'd caught that morning, but I guess we'll never know. So on to the next fish.
All right, we're tripled up.
Hey, and this is actually a really nice fish. It was close to the 10-pound mark and definitely on the larger size for the day.
You got a good one on there, huh?
Nah, drag.
Yeah. Alex, in here. In here.
Nice. They're all that fun size, right?
Yeah.
That?
Man, it's like when you find them, you really find them.
That's fine. That's fine. Worried about getting into you.
No, you're good. He's right under me.
Around a 9-10 pounder. A little less.
Yeah. I was hoping he had another plug in his mouth.
Yeah, I said I hope he has another plug in his mouth because my buddy Glenn was out here the day before this and he lost a couple of fish. Snapped through his leader, but he took his plugs with him, so you never know what you're gonna find out here.
Yeah, 7, 8.
All right, so that's the last fish of the day. We actually ran out of time before we ran out of fish, which is always a great feeling. And thank you so much for sticking around. If you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you learned as much as I did from this trip. So if you did like the video, click the like button, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I upload videos on a weekly basis, and that way you can stay in touch and see what I'm doing up here in the Northeast. Thanks so much.